What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Second Street Marvel. I'm your host, Trinity. Thank you all so much for being here this morning. It's New Comic Book Wednesday, guys, and in case you don't know what that means, it means that new comic books are released at your local comic book shop. And, if you got a local comic book shop near you, you should get out there and support them. One of my absolute, favorite things to do is to talk about comics here on the channel. And I go to my local comic book shop every week at this point. The Senate, what's up, my brother? How you doing this morning? Thank you so much for being here. So yeah, guys, today I'm gonna be talking a little bit about comic books. Like I said, it's New Comic Book Wednesday, so what better time to talk about new comics? Am I right? Yeah, man. So anyway, let's go ahead and get right into it now. In case you guys aren't already, if you're a new viewer or anything like that, please make sure you're subscribed and click the little bell and all of that good stuff. It helps keep Hydra from burying me in that YouTube algorithm. I greatly appreciate your help in supporting the channel in that way. And if you'd like to support the channel with some monies, you can always become a Patreon supporter. There are links down in the description where you can go and learn more about that. You can send direct donations or even become a monthly Patreon supporter. And speaking of which, we've got one of Curtis YZ. Thank you so much for being here. And Kobe Reviews Movies. Curtis YZ actually sent me actually sent a direct donation just I believe it was last week. So thank you so much for that, Curtis, in supporting the channel in that way. Again, I do greatly appreciate anybody who decides to who decides to donate $1 or $2 or a few or any amount to the channel. I do greatly appreciate it. Some of it's going to be going to improving some different things here on the channel. So in case you guys didn't already, just a Rican in his comics. Hello, how you doing this morning? In case you guys didn't already, I'll probably talk a little bit more about them today, but I did already drop reviews for Fallen Angels issue number 1 and X-Men issue number 2. Guys, go watch those reviews. Go watch them. Like I said, don't let Hydra bury me in that YouTube algorithm. You gotta let YouTube know that I'm commercially viable, so they don't delete my page when it comes December 10th. Right, guys? Plus, not only that, when I hit my 1-year anniversary here on YouTube, which is going to be on November 29th, I'm going to be doing a live stream actually on November 30th. It's going to be a Saturday, and I'm going to be giving away a copy of Neon Future this is volume 1. This is like a trade paperback, and this is a beautiful book, guys. In case you guys haven't ever read Neon Future, I want to share the love of this book that I have for this book, because this book is absolutely amazing. One of my favorite small press independent titles that has come out this year. I will be giving away a copy of this, and I'll be doing a video. Man, I've slacked on doing that video on how to get entered into that giveaway. It's going to be pretty easy though. So this morning I want to talk about a couple of these books. First one I want to talk about here, and I'll probably do a more in-depth review, is Morbius. Morbius, the Living Vampire. This is issue number 1. This just came out today. The writer on this book is Vita Ayala. The penciler is Marcelo Ferreira. Roberto Poggi is the inker, and Dono Sanchez Almara is the colorist, and VC's Clayton Cowles is the letterer. And I'm going to go ahead and show you those titles there, just in case I butchered any of those names. Hey, I've been known to do it. I'm not perfect. But altogether, I'll show you that cover once again. I'll go ahead and show you guys some of the art going on in this book as well. The art in this book I didn't really mind. It just seemed like some of it seemed a little bit too, I don't know, it almost seemed a little bit too clean for a book like this. The tone is very dark throughout. It's not very bright in colors. It's not popping with life. But again, I guess that's because we're talking about Morbius, the living vampire here, right? So what we see is we see Morbius going into like this warehouse, and he's just like slaughtering a bunch of people, trying to get this serum to help make him better, to get rid of these ailments that he has, And he goes through, and we see that in this warehouse there is this I guess this doctor, if you will, using these concoctions, these doing these experiments on people. And so Morbius is there to basically for their scientific research. He's trying to use this serum that this doctor's come up with to try to heal what is wrong with him. Now, I will confess, I do not know a whole lot about the Morbius character, and I gotta be honest with you. This book, I didn't really like it. It's definitely not for me. Again, I'm not really big into like the vampires and zombies thing. Like, to me, it's got to be pretty well written. You know what I mean? It's got to be good. And what I've been getting out of a lot of indies is when it comes to like the vampires and the zombies, it's got to be well written. And like you guys see, I did one that's on my pull list right now is actually called Vampire State Building. I did a talked about that on Sunday. Well, I believe that was on Monday. I did a live stream talking about some comic books. I like that. It's really well written. It's by the creators. The artist is the artist who did the Walking Dead series. But this one right here, I just don't know. I don't feel and that this book really had. I don't know. It just had some very funny elements in it. Again, it's not for me. It's got some just some odd. Just some odd things going on in this book where you see Morbius is obviously trying to cure himself of basically of being the living vampire, and then we see he's actually being hunted here. He's actually being hunted by somebody else, and we see that right here. We've got this vampire hunter there who's there trying to track down Michael Morbius, and again, I'm not too familiar with this character, but honestly, for me, I didn't and I didn't actually purchase this. I was lent this book by my local comic book shop. That's Bases Cards and Comics right here in Lancaster, California, to do a review on this. Um, Again, this book really isn't for me. Like I said, Morbius is going through this warehouse trying to get this serum, and you see him just slaughtering through people, just tearing through people. But Morbius didn't kill any of them. He didn't kill any of the people there. He just really left them wounded and pretty jacked up for the most part. And to me, it's like, okay, like you're gonna go through and you're going to basically tear through these people. Just I don't know. And then you're gonna leave them alive. You know what I mean? Like, why leave somebody in pain and suffering just like you're going through if you're trying to get through your pain and suffering? I mean, why not just kill them? You know what I mean? I'm not saying that killing them is a good thing, but I don't think that wounding all these people and really leaving them hurt is any better. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just kind of insult to injury. And to me, there's just some things going on in this book that just kind of have this. Man, I don't know. It's just odd to explain. You know what I mean? Like you're kind of you want me to feel bad for you while you're doing these bad things to other people and harming these other people within the confines of this book. It doesn't tell a very good story. Let's just put it that way. It doesn't tell a very good story. It's not very well written, not very well thought out. And again, the other thing I'll have to say about this book is it's very thin. I didn't even count how many pages this is, but it's very thin, and altogether, for me, it just didn't do it for me. So, for me, I would suggest, if it's me and you're a reader like me, I wouldn't get this book. I wouldn't say that it's really all that worth reading or anything like that. But again, guys, I usually leave that up to you guys. That's ultimately why I'm sitting here reviewing any of these books that I talk about. To see, if they're, for you guys to decide if it's something that you would like to read and that you would consider buying. And again, for me, it just wasn't one that I was really that into. But if you guys would like me to, let me know down in the comments. I am more than happy to read this, continue reading the other books in the series, probably just the first handful of them, to review them. If you guys want me to do that, I will happily do that for you guys. All right. Thanks, fellas. The Senate says, thank you, Curtis, for tweeting that out. The Senate says, never read Morbius in my life. He seems like an interesting character from what I saw of him in the 90s Spider-Man show. Senate says, oh, I thought when you said vampire hunter, it was Blade. Shame. Yeah, no, it's not. It's not Blade, unless it's the female Blade here. He says, is Cosmic Ghost Rider still a thing? Because that crazy ass, because I like that crazy ass character. Cosmic Ghost Rider, as far as I know, like the series and everything that he's tied into, is done with. I know they did like the Cosmic Ghost Rider series last year. It's available in trade paperback. You can go out and buy that, and I did actually buy that one, and then. God, what was the other one that came out after that? There was another Cosmic Ghost Rider series that, that came out after that as well. And I don't think it's going to be anything ongoing or anything, but I thought, I thought it was pretty good. The character is a little bit silly, but overall, I like the character. Pope Cerebrus the First, thank you so much for being here. He is asking about, does the Punisher look good? The Punisher Soviet. Now, the first thing I got to say about this book, guys, is I really enjoyed the Punisher series that had just ended last month that Matthew Rosenberg was writing. I absolutely loved that series. It was really good. Probably one of my favorite Marvel series of the year. I am True Skills. Thank you so much for being here. Dimajanai, what's up, my brother? How you doing? So yeah, this Punisher Soviet. This is in issue number 1. This is just going to be a 6-issue mini series, and I've got to tell you, just right off the bat, that's kind of a shame. And also, I'm not sure that I'm going to be too upset about it at the same time. So the Punisher Soviet. Now this one is a number 1, and I gotta show you this, guys, right here at the very top. This one right here says explicit content. Okay, explicit content. So they're not lying here. The other thing it has here is these Max comics. Now I'm guessing this is probably, once again, Marvel and DC. They just always got to compete. You guys can't coexist. You got to completely always try to one up each other. It's like I see here on YouTube. Some of these YouTubers always got to, you got to ramp it up. You got to compete with somebody else, even if you don't need to. Even if you don't need to. This right here, this Max Comics label, this explicit, they should have done this with Matthew Rosenberg's run of the Punisher, so they could just push it just that little bit farther, because it was really good. And this one right here, this Punisher Soviet, is being written by Garth Ennis. Jason Burrows is on pencils. Guillermo Ortega is on inks, and Nolan Woodard is on colors. And the lettering is done by Rob Steen. And I'll go ahead and show you guys that there. And I'll tell you guys, like, for me, I don't really like the art in this book. I'm not really big into the art or anything. But I will tell you, it is explicit. I mean, the content in here, it's pretty adult. You can see the art there. Again, this art for me just doesn't fit this Punisher book. Again, it's not bad. It just seems a little too. It almost seems a little too cartoony. I don't know. I don't know how to explain that. It's just not for me. It looks a little more. I don't know, it looks a little too clean. When I think of Punisher, I think of something a little bit grittier. I think of something a little bit darker, kind of like what we were getting out of Simon Kurdansky's art that we were getting in the previous Punisher series that was written by Matthew Rosenberg. But I will say, this one it is gritty. It's got a lot of those dark elements. You got to see some of that stuff right there. That is cool. I'm all fine with that. Like, I'd like that, but I want it, like, the art itself to be grittier, the colors to look darker. I want it to look like something like a Punisher book should look like, just like what Simon Kurdansky was doing in in the previous Punisher series. But also in this book, like I said, it's explicit content. They're cursing in here. They're using the F word. They are, they're just going all out. I mean, this is like their rated R version of a comic book. So that I like, because that's something I think Punisher absolutely needs. And this, speaking of which, this being the book that it is and how it is, kind of makes me think about, just like reflect upon things going on in like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. How they're, they got they got all their characters now pretty much except for the Spider-Man characters and the Incredible Hulk. I've been talking for a while here on this channel that I don't think in the Marvel Cinematic Universe they can do a Punisher and do him justice. Not in a PG-13 movie. He uses guns, a lot of gun violence, and it's violent. And Marvel Cinematic Universe don't want to do that in their movies. They're PG-13. They're aimed. He could cross over into that, but again, you're doing a lot of stuff with him not on screen. You might show him maybe shooting a bunch of guns and maybe guys hitting the ground, but you're not showing bullets hitting them and people dying and all that kind of stuff, like you need in a Punisher book, in a Punisher series, in a Punisher movie. something I think that is required that I don't think we're going to get in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And it makes me wonder just kind of where this comes from. Where is this coming out of? Altogether, I didn't like the art in this Punisher Soviet book, but the story I did like. Pretty much what we're finding here in this Punisher book is that there is somebody out there. We see Punisher Frank Castle going in and investigating the scene where a bunch of people had been basically mowed down with preciseness. People were there and they hadn't drawn their guns to shoot whoever had killed them. There was very much a lack of sloppy shooting, as most of the bullets hit their targets. And he was examining like the casings and everything they're using. He's like just judging by what the ammo, the casings and everything we're finding here, they're using a fully automatic weapon and they're pretty good with it because it's not a messy scene here. And then he meets up with this cop who is giving him just like this file on some of the information of exactly what's going on here, and we see that he's actually tracking somebody, and he's thinking like he's tracking these particular people that have been going around and doing bad things, and basically this faction of people who have kind of somewhat gone straight and not doing so much the gangster thing anymore. And he's wondering what's going on here, so he tracks these people down, kind of gets set up in this trap. And he has this cargo van, he lets them follow him, like he got set up in a trap that he knew he was getting set up into, I guess you could say. And he ends up like blowing up. They follow him in this van, and he has it loaded with a bunch of C4 and everything, and blows them all up and kills like this like these 4 carloads of dudes with like all these automatic weapons. And then he did his best to leave somebody alive, so he got this one guy that's alive, and he goes and basically takes him out in the middle of the woods and is sitting there questioning him like, what's going on here? And the guy's like, hey dude, I know your reputation, I know what you've been doing, we know you. And so as he's sitting there punishing this guy, and the guy's like, hey man, like what are you doing? He's like, hey man, I thought you knew my MO, I thought you knew how I worked. And apparently what it looks like is there's somebody actually out there kind of impersonating his work. That people think that the work, these kills and everything that somebody else is doing, is actually Punisher when it's not him. And that's what we get at the end of the book. He's kind of tracking this person down to see who it is and exactly what they're doing. And he ends up at this nightclub where all of a sudden, he's sitting out front. He finally tracked him down. See all these people rushing out of this nightclub, and the bouncer's like, oh, hey, what the hell? And he's going in there. He's just walking in. The bouncer's like, hey, man, what are you doing here? He's like, just get these people to safety. Get them out of here. This isn't me. And so he goes in there into this nightclub and to find out who this person is, and he walks to the back room in this nightclub and finds out exactly who he's looking for, and it turns out to be somebody that he knows from his past and is obviously good with the weapons and things like that as well. And altogether, like it was a very good setup, kind of interesting as far as the story and everything is concerned. But for me, the art just doesn't do it for me. It just doesn't. But it's only 6 issues, so I'll probably be pulling these to check them out and continue, just to see how it is. Because like I said, the story itself was good. It's just the art didn't really do it for me. So let's see what do we got here. The Senate says Punisher Soviet. He's back in Russia because he was there in Punisher Max. Loved that volume. And see, I don't know a whole lot about that. I had never really read a whole lot of Punisher before the Matthew Rosenberg run that had just come out this last year. Not even the one before that, which was God, what was that? What was it? The War Machine Punisher. I didn't even read that, but I want to because I heard that was pretty good when he had like the War Machine armor and he was Punisher, like going out and just like I can just imagine. The Senate says that the last art from the other artist annoyed me too. See, and like for me, in the Matthew Rosenberg run, the art that was done by Simon Kurdansky, I liked it. I liked it because it was gritty and it was dark looking. Like that's what I would like in this series. Pope Cerebra says Max imprint goes back to the Millennium. I don't even know if it. I didn't even know it was still active, but Punisher deserves the Max treatment. Props to the Anthrax. So yeah, thanks, man. Love Anthrax. I got this. I think I got this at the show when we seen him down at the Whiskey down in Hollywood. We seen like Anthrax. Who all did we see? We seen Anthrax, Downset. man, who else was there? There was Anthrax, Downset, and there was somebody else there with him too. I want to say maybe it was Josh Todd, which Josh Todd is the singer for Buck Cherry. He had a solo project that he was doing there for a while. But yeah, yeah, the Max imprint again. You guys obviously know about that. I don't really, and obviously it's basically their rated R version because in here, I mean they are using cuss words and they're not bleeped out or anything. Like you see them actually using the F word in here. It's spelled out and everything in this book. So that's not too bad, you know. But again, for me, I don't need the cursing in there. I just need a good story and I want some good art. And here, I think there's less a balance of good art, like art that I like for this series. There's less of that, but there is a pretty good setup to the story here. So I'll definitely give it that. Wookiee Supremacy, thank you so much for being here, my brother. He says, sweet, made it. The Senate says, the Punisher show wasn't good, but at least the violence was great. And see, for me, I thought, like, I didn't really watch a whole lot of the shows. I only watched season one. I thought it was okay. I thought they had... they had the right cast. You know what I'm saying? It was very well done, but I didn't like the series so much. Like I thought, like yeah, it's a little bit toned down. Like you know, and that's why I think they're gonna have a hard time doing that in the MCU. Pope Cerebus says bullets not working. Did we not have John Wick 1, 2, and 3? Right, right. Preciseness sounds like bullseye. Yeah. And again, it's not bullseye. It's just the fact because there were some other casings that he's just saying like for the weapon that was being used, they were very clean in their work basically. And what he was noticing was that it was somebody that is out there not ruining his reputation, but trying to get people to think that it's him that has been doing these other murders and things around the world. Because there's been other people in other parts of the world that have been being tracked down and killed in this precise way that looks a lot, the crime scenes look a lot like it was Frank Castle Punisher doing it. And that is ultimately what got his attention into tracking this person down. Like, dude, who is this out here basically giving me a bad rap? You know, people think that this is me and it's not, and I need to know who it is. And that's why he's at the beginning of the book we see he's having this meeting with this police officer, getting this information, talking, and they're kind of having some conversation about like who is this, because you know he's telling him like this isn't me doing this, but this does look very much like my work. I could see how somebody would mistake it, and that's what I'll show you here. We get that here at the very back of the book. And who he's tracking down here is a guy called Constantine. God, was it Constantine Proncheco? Constantine Proncheco is who he's after. But and we see here at the very end, he does end up catching up with the person that he's looking for, who is doing this work, who he's being confused with. So again, a good story. For me, the art didn't do it. You know, like especially for this book, you're gonna give me something rated R, and you're gonna give me this art that looks like it should be in like a, you know, it looks like it should be in a happier book. You know what I mean? Something that's not so riddled with blood and R-rated. Like I need it to be darker. I need it to be grittier. But yeah, it was a good read though. Pope Cerebro says he is the Punisher, copycat Punisher. Soon there will be anti-Punisher, Red Sheep Punisher, Dark. Right? Pretty soon we're gonna. Yeah, that's something I was talking about before. Pretty soon we're gonna have Jane Foster Punisher. That's funny. I am True Skills. Thank you so much for being here. It says I only read Punisher in the early 2000s. Yeah, and you know I think I've got Marvel Unlimited. I need to go back and read some of the older Punisher series because I did like like I said, I liked Matthew Rosenberg's run that just came to an end last month, and it was a really good run. I don't know why they took him off that book. Maybe he's got more important things he's gonna be doing. I don't know. They shouldn't have kept it, but you know they left it off like he got killed. You know, like he was killed and no longer here. But we all know that you can't kill Frank Castle. Come on, man, right? He's like Steven Seagal, hard to kill. Pope Cerebro says War Machine Punisher was issue 218. Okay, yeah, I'll have to go back and check that out because I was very interested in that series when I heard about it, and I know a lot of that came out after the events of what happened in not I about said Secret War, but not even Secret Invasion, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Oh man, I forget about it. But the one that kind of reset, the big event that kind of reset the Marvel universe, really kind of set everything back to normal, I guess you could say. Secret Empire, yeah. But yeah, I need to go check that out. Um, Wookiee Supremacy says, I'm surprised there's not a she Punisher already, punishing the patriarchy or some shit. There actually is a female Punisher out there, but she's not like the Punisher. She was actually in Matthew Rosenberg's run. It was somebody that he had partnered with before, but again, she's not out there being Punisher per se. She just has an outfit that looked and that looked a lot like his, and I think she had a mask that she wore that was like that. And again, she wasn't a replacement for Punisher. She was just somebody who worked, I guess you could say, in alignment with Punisher. And from what I read in that last series, it wasn't a bad thing. It wasn't like she was set up to be like the replacement, like the female Punisher. She was just like a version of somebody else who was, just as ruthless and as good as Punisher was, but again, not Punisher. Pope Cerebro says, "Dude, I was at the show." Oh, really? The one down at the Whiskey a Go Go. That's crazy. Yeah, worship music tour. That's great. That's great. Yeah, yeah. Because I know there was Anthrax, there was Downset, and I want to say it was Josh Todd that was there with him. I mean, I could be wrong there, but I'm pretty sure that it was. Yeah, good stuff, man. Crazy, crazy. Yeah, good stuff, man. The Senate says she will be punching people in strip clubs. On True Skill says, why they never make a black man as a Punisher? I don't know. I mean, maybe because they're smart in not wanting to tokenize established characters, but I wouldn't have a problem with them doing a story that was similar with somebody else. I mean, of course, I mean, there's other people out there who are trained, who are great operatives, and who can do what Frank Castle does. So I mean, they certainly should have that, and I'm sure they probably got a character out there that's similar to a Punisher. Probably not in Marvel, but yeah. And again, like for me, like I don't care if what color a character is. Just you don't have to change an established character's history just for that. You know what I mean? Just make new characters. And it'd be a mistake calling them the Punisher. I mean, because we all know, like I said, I mean, they've already done that with like Peter Parker. I mean, we got Miles Morales, Spider Man, and just some of the other things that they've done out there. I mean, just make the new stories. That's all we want. Just make the new stories. And that's just my opinion. Not everybody feels the same about that. Um, Let's see. The Senate says, yeah, the cast was dope, but the show was slow as hell. Yeah, it was. But again, I think John Bernthal was right. For me, I would like to see John Bernthal come in and play the new Wolverine. He just has the look for it. He's got that kind of gritty look, and he's got the acting chops for it as well. Wookiee Supreme says, give it time. The Senate says, Punisher was more Punisher in Daredevil season 2 than his entire show. Agreed. Agreed. He was. The Senate says, honestly, I'd like to see Frank Castle with the powers of Thor. I see what you're doing there. That's funny. That's funny. Um, Senate says every event sets things back in Marvel these days. I'm surprised there's not a new event coming yet. Well, I mean, there's events all over. Like they're getting ready to do. I think what is it called? Annihilation Wave or something's getting ready to come out. Another little kind of mini series that is going to be starting. I think right here after Absolute Carnage. It seems like that's what Marvel doing now. Is they're doing these events, and they're kind of doing them over and over. It's like, guys, just like, can we get an event and let it simmer, let it stew for a little while, and then do another event, which is kind of like what I like what been doing in the Spider-Man series. Is they were doing the Amazing Spider-Man, and then they did their own little mini event within that called The Hunted, which I thought was a good idea. And then it started crossing over into, all of a sudden, like, next thing you know, one of the issues mentions the War of the Realms out of nowhere. Like, it had nothing to do with War of the Realms, but it said that in the book. I'm like, why'd you do that? And then, it started tying into Absolute Carnage. And I'm like, I'm not reading Absolute Carnage. Why do you do that? Why don't you just make like a separate miniseries, like 3 issues or whatnot, to tie into that, like you do with all your other events? And I'll tell you, it's probably because Marvel seems to have this problem with being able to do all these tie-ins and everything into their events without doing them all willy nilly. Like you got the event going on, you're on issue number 3 of Absolute Carnage, and all of a sudden you get tie-in events that happen between issues 1 and 2, or before issue 1 and 2. And it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing here, guys? Come on, man, get it together. Don't just like I don't like how it jumps back and forth like that. Like it's not. Is Quentin Tarantino putting your release order out there? Just release them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not hard, guys. It's not rocket science. It's a number system. I don't know what's so hard about that. Um, but yeah, like as far as the event, like the Secret Empire event, I liked Secret Empire, and I like what it did for Marvel Comics because it reset all the characters back to their classic forms. We got our classic Captain America, we got our classic Incredible Hulk, and things like that. We got all of those back. Whereas before, I know there was a lot of problems, and a lot of this stuff happened before I really got back into reading, where they were doing a lot of these, like changing their characters from their classic form, which isn't what everybody wants. If you have another title out there, all fine and dandy. You have Amadeus Cho, Hulk, fine. As long as he's got a separate title, and as long as you still have the option of Bruce Banner Hulk. I mean, that's what you need to do. If you got another character that's like that, sure. I mean, sure, do it. I mean, I probably won't buy it, but that's again, again, maybe that's why I don't work for Marvel. Pope Cerebra says, haha, punishing the patriarchy. Don't buy into the patriarchy nonsense. That's funny. The Senate says, if they make Punisher black, people would be mad that they're making a black man a killer. But SJW logic, they'll praise it. Yeah, and again, I mean, classic. I mean, Punisher has been one of those characters. They've never really had to. Like I said, I mean, all you got to do is just create a new character. It could be somebody that Frank Castle went to war with, and all of a sudden had a problem with Frank Castle, and sought him out, and then they meet each other and they make amends, and then maybe they work together, or maybe they don't work together, and just things like that. I mean, there's so many different things you can do aside from taking our established characters and tokenizing them. Just make a new character, And now I will say that these days, when it comes to like superhero titles and things like that, I'll give writers an out, because it's hard within the superhero genre to create something new and original. It is, because I mean, ultimately you're just retreading on old territory, because I mean, it's really kind of all been done. So you got to take a new approach or a new twist or something like that to the characters and make it fresh and unique. And I'll admit, that has to be something hard to do. It really does. I won't say that it's easy, because if it was easy, everybody would be doing it, right? So yeah. Let's see. Dylan's Rant says, Trinity, good morning. What's up, Dylan's Rants? He says, good morning, chat. Uploading my weekly pickups right now. Awesome, dude. Can't see it. The Senate says, my wallet can't handle these events, bruh. Yeah. And it gets to be ridiculous. And that's why, for the most part, I said Marvel events, I'm done with. I'm done with them. If you got a mini series that's coming out, 5, 6 issues, I'm probably on board, because for some reason, Marvel seems to be able to do miniseries really good, but their events, they just do all these tie-ins, and it gets all, like I said, everything's all thrown in all willy-nilly, and it's like, dude, like, I can't follow this. They have a nonsensical approach to releasing their titles in a sensical manner. It's like, come on, guys, this shouldn't be that hard. Should not be that hard. I'm True Skill says, are you reading The Immortal Hulk? No, I am not, actually. Although I've heard from many people that I should. As soon as I get caught up on all my reading and everything, which who knows how long that could be, I actually plan on wanting to go and pick up the trade paperbacks of The Immortal Hulk, because I've heard they're pretty good. But lately I've heard a lot of people getting that are jumping off board on reading The Immortal Hulk, not due to the story or anything. Just, I mean, like, the story's been good. It's just like, they're like, okay, like, gone 25 issues, like, it's been enough. I've got other titles that I'm interested in. I'm going to drop this title for something else that I'm interested in. And I totally get that, because if you guys are reading comic books out there, buying them regularly, it's expensive. It can be an expensive habit to get into, even if you're just buying 1 or 2 books a week, I mean, it's still pretty expensive, you know what I mean? So I can't blame anybody out there for not wanting to, buy into like these full events, or dropping a title, even if it's one they like. Even me here on the channel, I've been contemplating dropping some Spider-Man titles, guys, and I love Spider-Man. I love what Nick Spencer has been doing in The Amazing Spider-Man. But I think that's the title I would drop if I dropped one, because I've enjoyed what Tom Taylor has been doing in the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I've enjoyed that. Just the story that he's telling with Peter Parker, giving us that more grounded, those more grounded character stories of Peter Parker Spider-Man. The Senate says I'm more of a DC guy myself, but my Marvel side has taken precedence nowadays. And that happens, and DC's no better than Marvel, I know I get like, some people are DC fanboys, some are Marvel, I read more Marvel here than others, but I won't I won't ever think that DC is doing more right than Marvel is. They, from what I've heard, they both have their downfalls as far as things are concerned. What I want to see is when we get writers like a Vita Ayala, when we get writers like a Alyssa Wong, when they come in and do titles, can you just write a good story? Can you write a good story without having to interject your personal politics in it? Like, it's not even about the politics themselves. If you have something worthy of addressing in your book, I have no problem with that. If you have something worthy of addressing in your book, a lot of the times it seems like people are just using, a lot of these characters to push their own, not even social agenda, but their own outlooks on these kinds of things. Like, if you're going to do that, at least make it a good part of the story. Like I was saying, like this is a prime example of one right here I've been talking about here on the channel. I've done reviews on. I have been pulling this. I've been doing reviews on it, and that's Ruby Falls. The character in here, she's a lesbian, right? She's a lesbian. She has a girlfriend. In this book right here, we see her fighting with her girlfriend about stuff. They're fighting because, the one girl, she's kind of has this guy that she's been working with, I guess, working alongside, that has a crush on her. He ends up kissing her and stuff in the book. Her girlfriend is jealous about it. They have, some of that lesbian speak with each other about, like, oh, this and that. Like, basically, because the one of them is like working like the strip club, and they kind of talk about like that, about like, oh, hey, like, oh, like, you're not perfect, you're there taking your clothes off for men and stuff like that. And to me, I'm like, well, that's just kind of, that's not even a lesbian thing. That, to me, that's just like how a man and a woman would act in a relationship if a woman was working in a strip club and the guy didn't exactly wasn't exactly okay with it, but was at the same time like, hey, you need a job, you're doing what you do, hey, I get it. It's the way the storytelling is done. To me, that's what it's about. It's the manner in which it's done, not just done lazily, and not trying to just outright push those kinds of agendas and things in the book itself. Like, good writing is what it takes. It just takes good writing to do it right. And again, that's me. But again, I understand that some of those things might be something that turns a person off. And that's why I do my comic book reviews in a manner to which I'm not going to call those kinds of things out, and you guys can decide for yourself. I mean, that's what it's ultimately about. Now, if there's something that's overtly bad and like just out of the blue, then I'm just like, ugh, like, I'll scream about that on the Trailer Park Live, the show I do on Fridays. Like, the Fearless series, that 4-issue mini series of Fearless, it's garbage. It's absolute garbage. You want to talk about agenda based, just toxic trash? It's in Fearless. It's in Fearless, man. That's not, wasn't a good series. Wasn't well written, and I hate saying that because Shannon McGuire was the one writing the main story throughout that book, and she was writing Spider-Gwen Ghost Spider that I quite enjoyed. I thought it was a good story, but then they turned the page to, they ended that at issue number 10, and they go into well, you can see the poster right there, the Ghost Spider series. I haven't liked it. I haven't liked it as much. It's like they took the cuffs off, and she's like, okay, like, I'll just do whatever I want now. And there's not anything like any like over the top narratives or anything in there. There's just some of the stuff in here I'm just kind of like, I don't know. What did you do here? You took a seemingly like great, like nice, well-grounded story and started interjecting other things into it that just like, I don't know, just the storytelling isn't as good now. Wookie Supreme says, I'm still waiting for Amy Schumer to do a live action movie of Faith, the fat superhero. Didn't they already do that? Dylan Rand says, "Yeah, I usually flock to the miniseries more than ongoings. It's got to be amazing for me to stay ongoing." Right? Yeah. Agreed. Agreed. I hear that. Pope Cerebral says, "Hey y'all, check out my recent haul video. That will show many indie books that no one buys." And I hear you, Pope Cerebral. That's what I myself have been getting into more indie books myself. Aside from Neon Future on Impact Theory Comics, my absolute favorite indie comic title of the year, I've really been enjoying every single title that I've seen put out by Vault Comics. Vault Comics has been doing an absolutely great job putting out titles, and they've only been around since 2016. But what they do with their titles is they do like all the inclusiveness, all the diversity and stuff in their books, but it's not like in your face. It's done. It's just done. I mean, they're building worlds with characters who are, people of color and things like that, and females and just all. I mean, they're actually doing that with good storytelling, not just like oh here's this, and doing it in an overtly like agenda-ish kind of way. It's just they're writing good stories, and that is what I want. And what I've started to notice is that some of these writers are actually starting to get some work with like Marvel and DC as well, because I noticed recently that with this Annihilation Scourge or Annihilation Wave, or I think it's Annihilation Scourge, that's a little miniseries getting ready to come out. One of the titles is actually being written by Michael Morecki, or is it Morrissey, who has been doing a lot of work for Vault Comics, and he's been doing that, and he's been doing a great job. I think he's been writing The Plot, which is a really good one on Vault Comics. And there's another one that he was doing that I was reading as well. Ooh, I think it's The Mall. I think it's, or not The Mall, but Mall on Vault Comics as well. Been doing really good job there. And again, it's just good writing. To me, it's not even having like some of those things in there. Like people would say agenda. It's about, if you're gonna do that, write it well. Make it a good story. Not just like, oh hey, here's just some lazy writing. Enjoy it. It's not about that. We need good writing. And another of my favorite indie publishers has been Aftershock Comics. I've been reading some Aftershock comics that have been really good as well, and they're doing a lot more like kind of horror thriller titles. Good stuff. Good publishers. Those two, I would say, definitely. But I'll definitely check that out, Pope Cerebrus. I'll definitely check that out. I'm gonna go check out. I'm not sure if I'm subscribed to you, but if I'm not, I'm gonna go check out your stuff. The Senate says, "I heard Nick Spencer's Spider-Man is better than Dan Slott, but that's not saying much. Is this true?" I will say definitely. Nick Spencer took Spider-Man and brought him back into his classic form. Got rid of the Parker Industries, got rid of the whole Tony Stark thing, just like we're getting in the MCU with Peter Starker, I guess you could say. He got rid of that and brought Peter Parker back to his classic form, brought Mary Jane back into his life, and really just brought him back to the classic Peter Parker that I grew up with. And that's something I liked. And I haven't really read a whole lot of Dan Slott's run on the Amazing Spider-Man or anything, so I can't speak to how good it was written. All I know is Nick Spencer's been doing a pretty good job with the Amazing Spider-Man. Dylan's Rant says, "Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is my favorite Spider-Man. Story right now as well. I'm debating if I need to drop one of my 4 or 5 Spider-Man stories that are on my pull." Yeah, and for me, like the miniseries ones I've been getting. They did Symbiote Spider-Man, which they're getting ready to do a second series of Symbiote Spider-Man, I believe, starting in January. With like the Hobgoblin being the main villain, like they just had the last Symbiote Spider-Man where Mysterio was. Spider-Man Life Story was absolutely great. The J.J. Abrams Spider-Man, it's okay. Again, there are only 2 issues in there out of 5, so I've only got 3 issues to go. I'm gonna continue reading that and finish it, but it's okay. It's just a newer, like updated take on Spider-Man, but it's not Peter Parker Spider-Man. It's his son Ben Parker in kind of an alternate future, or an alternate future, I guess you could say. But yeah, I mean, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, I think has just been just that little bit better than Amazing Spider-Man, and that's just due to like the more grounded story of Peter Parker. We're getting a little more of that, a little more in touch with Peter Parker Spider-Man than the big, more grandiose kind of things going on in Amazing Spider-Man. The sentence says, "Lesbians, I'm in." Yeah, and the good thing about reading independence in indie books is you get boobies. Yeah, you get boobies in them, man. I got a couple of the you get see some boobies. Oh man, Wookiee Supremacy says Spider-Man should never have a scene where his boyfriend is wearing his panties. Well, I haven't seen that happen yet. I haven't seen that happen yet. So we're good there. We're good there so far, Wookiee. We're good. Senate says I read Fearless online and Jesus, it's absolutely crap. I'll tell you, Senate, you're wrong there. Actually, Fearless, it's not absolutely crap. You're being way too nice about it. You're being way too nice about it, man. Like me, I absolutely like. I continued pulling it to do reviews. I didn't do reviews on issue 3 and 4, but I'm going to do an overall review of the series itself, and then I'm probably going to take those issues and send them off to somebody who does want them, who probably enjoyed that series or at least likes it, to put it in their collection instead of mine because it doesn't belong in my collection. But I'll know next time to just ask my comic shop if I can borrow those to to do a review or something like that on them. Um, but yeah, let's see. Pope's Reaver says Neon Future. Yeah, Neon Future right here, man. Um, Neon Future. And I'm giving away a trade paperback of this. This is volume 1 right here. This is the book. I'll be giving away a copy of this on my 1 year anniversary. But this book right here is absolutely great. It's a cyberpunk tale that takes place 30 years in the future, in which the world has basically been overrun with artificial intelligence, and automation has pretty much displaced a lot of people out of work. It's led to a global economic crisis, and basically all the countries are dealing with it in their own way. And there's like a new how would you say totalitarian government in the United States that enacted Article 10, better known as the Return, which is basically outlawed advanced technology. Now, people who already have their advanced technology are allowed to keep it, but it's regulated by the government. And so what is started is a class war in the United States, and basically communities are now segregated. And that's pretty much what it's all about. It's kind of like Blade Runner, and The Matrix, kind of all combined into one. And I've seen a lot of people say and kind of make fun of that, but you can tell in the writing, it's written by Jim Kruger with input from some other people as well. But the story itself, and I think they realize that a lot of people are going to draw those same parallels in the book, and they play on that. They're well aware of that, and that's what I like about it. And you'll have to see like some of the art in this book. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. I mean, look at that work, man. It's absolutely amazing work. Beautiful colors, beautiful art, great story, man. This is like you got to check out. Even more of the art in this book, man. It's just absolutely beautiful. I mean, it's been, like I said, it's been my favorite indie title of the year. Just a great book, and I own all six of these issues in the floppies, but I also bought this trade paperback as well, man. Great title, great title. Let's see. Pope says Vault was my top 2 publishers this year. These Savage Shores is amazing. I haven't read These Savage Shores, but I've heard it was good. And again, I haven't read a bad title out of Vault yet. He says, look at this series Test, and that's another one I'm waiting to come out on like a trade or something so I can read it, because I haven't read that, and they don't have it at my local comic book shop. I think they've been selling out of them, and I don't think they've been ordering a lot of them, but they're sold out. He says there is agenda, but there is a lot to chew on. And see, again, to me, I think if it depends on what you say agenda. Like, are they pushing an agenda, or are they just talking about things in there? That's, to me, there's a big difference in that. For me, it's not the if you're writing something that has like messages in there, that's fine as long as it's well written, something that somebody can understand, and it's not just a bunch of crap that's that's basically so on the nose that it'll make a person sick. I mean, to me, that's the difference in a lot of the things, is just how well it's written. The Senate says, "Oh, nice. I hated Parker Industries." Wookie says, "I always hated MJ. She's a pill." And I gotta be honest with you guys. The Amazing Mary Jane series, I read issue number 1. I did a review on it. I didn't buy the book, but I read issue number 1, and I went back and bought it. Like, I was like, man, like, for some reason, because that's a writer I've kind of focused on here on the channel, Leah Williams, or Lee Williams, however you will. haven't liked her writing, so I've kind of concentrated on her and what she's been doing in her books. And for some reason, I think The Amazing Mary Jane may have just been the right title for her to write at the right time, because I read issue number one and I thought it was actually pretty good. I mean, honestly, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, just being honest with you. I'm True Skill says Disney Plus Marvel library looks awesome. Yeah, man, they got all those classic 80s, like 90s cartoons and stuff in there and stuff. Yeah, I can't wait to read some of those. Senna says Peter Starker, I like that. Yeah, Peter Starker, man. I just don't like it. Pope Cerebra says Money Shot. Yes, Money Shot was good, and that was a funny book. And I haven't done a review on it, but I really did like that. Pussycats, I haven't read Pussycats, but I love those risque covers that they've got going on over there. But though I do wish instead of having photo covers, they had art covers doing that, kind of like what Xenoscope does with their titles, you know what I'm saying? And Faithless, I've heard Faithless was good. I haven't read Faithless, but they've been putting out some explicit covers and everything there, so I don't know. Curtis YZ says the toxicity is so intoxicating. Boobies! Boobies! Well, bell's about to ring, gotta go see it, man. Alright, man, take it easy, Senate. Have a good day in school, man. Hope Cerebra says send Fearless to a local woman's prison. Wookiee Supremacy says gay Spider-Man is a real thing. No, not that I know of. I'm sure in when like it comes to like the Spider-Verse, because I think in Spider-Geddon there may have been one that might be. I'm not for sure on that though. I'm not for sure, but when it comes to the Spider-Verse, all the tie-in characters and all that stuff, there probably is one. But again, and again, that's something I don't really mind, but if they have one of the spin-off characters, one of the tokenized characters of Spider-Man, that's all fine. But again, like you don't have to show me them kissing or them making love or just overt things that are just so overt out there. It doesn't have to be done, like because I think for the most part, when it comes to a character's sexuality in a comic book or a movie or anything like that, it don't matter. It's not the main driver of the story. You make mention of it, and okay, yeah, that's it. You don't have to keep putting stuff in there and doing it over and over and over. So, again, I mean, it just kind of a lot of it depends on how it's done. 19K Fox, what's up, my brother? How you doing, man? Rosetta Allen, how you doing? She said, "Good morning, buddy. Hope you're doing well in your stream today." Yeah, doing okay. Getting ready to end here in a few minutes. Just talking about comic books here for New Comic Book Wednesday. Wookiee Supreme says, pretty good. Rest in peace, Gwen. Yeah, man. Yeah, the Ghost Spider series, man. Like, I liked Spider-Gwen, Ghost Spider. That first series, it was only 10 issues long. I thought it was well written. Like, it was a title I would let my kids read. The new one, I'm kind of like, eh, I don't know. Rosetta Allen says, I appreciate that. I appreciate ones that have a bit of sexuality and sensuality in their art as a woman. I understand that I have strength in my sexuality. Yeah, indeed, exactly. Completely agreed. I mean, women are women, like, yeah, it's okay to draw the female form. It's all good. Boobies, hips, and I'm not gonna be against, if you got a woman that's, that's just like slim and fit and isn't all super curvaceous. That's not a requirement. But just give us a good story. Give us a good story with it. You know what I mean? Pope Cerebra says the first series, Pussycats had art covers, but issue 3, wowee. Again, I haven't seen any of them like at my local comic book shop or anything, but I've seen those covers and everything, man. Like they look pretty risque, and there's nothing wrong with that if you ask me. Rosetta says, sounds like you're having fun. I'm out exploring, finding eagles to photograph. Awesome. Nice. Yeah, and I like, if you guys haven't checked out Rosetta Allen, you guys should go check her out. And definitely, follow her on Twitter and stuff. She's been posting like pictures and stuff of her just out in nature during her hikes and everything. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Great stuff. So yeah, guys, I'm getting ready to wrap it up. Again, I did reviews for Fallen Angels issue number 1 and X-Men issue number 2. You guys need to make sure you go here on the channel and check those out. Please help help me fight the forces of Hydra who are constantly trying to bury me in that YouTube algorithm. Your help is greatly appreciated. Now, some other books that I'm going to be doing some reviews on here soon is right here. I got this one right here, which is Black Stars Above, issue number 1. This is a new series, and obviously this is an homage cover right here. This is on Vault Comics. I will be doing a review on this very soon. It's a first in a new series. Can't wait to read it. This is Vault Comics, guys. I've been talking about Vault Comics here for a while. I love what they're doing at Vault Comics. They have good writers. They have great artists. They know what they're doing over there. The other one I'm going to be doing this review on is, oh gosh, this is on Boom Studios. It's called Folklords, issue number 1. I'll be doing this review on as well. I don't really know about it, a whole lot about it. Maybe you don't either. That's why I'm doing this review on issue number 1 of Folklords. I'll be doing those here over the coming days. So that's all I have for this video today, folks. Thank you all so much for tuning into the Second Street Marvel. Now, make sure that you tune in to my comic book pull list that I will be releasing here a little bit later on, because I'm going to be doing a giveaway in that particular video for a copy of, well, a comic book, okay? So make sure you tune in for that. When I do that, I'll be announcing the giveaway, and I will do the actual giveaway of the prize next week, give you a week to get entered into it. So that's all I have for this video today, guys. Thank you all so much for tuning into the Second Street Marvel. If you haven't already, please make sure you're subscribed and click that little bell so you get notifications anytime I've uploaded new content. It also sends you out notifications anytime I plan on doing a live video. And while you're at it, make sure that you share it with a friend and invite them to come hang out with us here on the Second Street Marvel. You all have a very good day. Have a great rest of your week. Happy reading. Go out and support your local comic book shop, and we'll see you in the next video. Later.